In a few days from now, Nigerians the world over will be rolling out the drums to celebrate the country's 58th independence anniversary. We are indeed getting old. And it will seem like just yesterday when we celebrated our 25th anniversary with a lot of fanfare and jubilation. Amazingly, we're just 2 years away from celebrating our diamond anniversary. That's a milestone. Now, we all know Nigeria has come a long way from pre-independence to post-independence. Nigeria seems to be steering her wheel of progress in the positive direction against all odds. The transition from military regime to democratic governance has no doubt defined Nigerians across board for good, as most people would say. The challenge is upholding and nurturing the rich endowments Nigeria is blessed with. And while development and growth achieved so far may fall short of expectations for some people, others are counting the blessings and the gains of independence. And as activities lined up to commemorate this year's anniversary steam up, there's a need to take stock of the progress made so far. I'm sure you're eager to know what the government has in store for us in the build-up to October 1. Expectedly, I'm not alone in the studio, and I'll reveal our guests in a moment. This is midweek edition of Nigeria Today. Welcome. My name is Kande Daniel. Yes, we are all set. The program is Nigeria Today, and I have with me already seated the chairman of the Central Organizing Committee for the 2018 Independence Day celebrations. He's seated to my extreme left. His name is Gabriel Aduda. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
And sitting between Mr. Aduda and me is Mr. Charles Ojugana. He is the chairman of the Programs and Publicity Subcommittee of the 2018 Independence Day Celebration Committee. Gentlemen, it's nice to have you. It tells us something is happening, something big, and we'll be talking about it all. Well, Mr. Aduda, Nigeria is turning 58 in a couple of days, as it's obvious, we have said. As your committee is working, have you observed, anything in terms of the atmosphere and the mood in the country as October 1 approaches?
Well, once again, thank you, viewers. I think, yes, I will say we have observed a lot. And whether I would like it or not, this is a time that calls for reflection. For some, it is a time for sober reflection. For others, it is a time to count our gains and achievements as a country, because 58 years is no joke. And you will agree with me that Nigeria has done quite a lot. It takes a lot for us, as looking at our diversity, to have remained together up until now. So I think we really, really have a lot, not only to look up to, but to be thankful for. And out there, of course, you might have mixed feelings. And I'm happy to say that even the streets of Abuja are already wearing a new look. So yes, something is in the atmosphere.
Mr. Ojugana, would you describe our attitude as a people in recent years to the celebration of Nigeria's independence as positive or negative, or what other adjectives would you use?
I think really it's been a mixed bag in the sense that in the last 8 years or thereabout, the government has not had anything close to being elaborate.
Since 2010.
Exactly. And that has made many Nigerians to begin to forget the values associated with our Independence Day. That's the birthday of our country, by the way. It's a day we celebrate our emancipation, the day we celebrate our independence from colonial rule. It's the day we celebrate our maturity as a nation. And politically speaking, that was when we began to experience self-rule, if you like. So for many reasons, it's a date that should not be forgotten in the history of even our children and children yet unborn.
You know, some would ask, you know, cynics, as Mr. Adoda called some people, what have these values you've reeled out amounted to, you know, to individuals, for individuals and for the nation?
Yeah, I can explain that. I mean, you only need to be in the United States on the 4th of July. It's celebrated more than Christmas. You need to be in Beijing when they have their Independence Day. You need to be even in Accra, here, across the border when they celebrate Independence Day. It's something of national pride. And this question came up when we had our press conference. And I said to them, look, we all celebrate our own birthdays every year. We celebrate our patron saints. We celebrate when we buy cars. We celebrate when we have a new house, whether it's rented or owned by us. We celebrate our children's first birthday, second birthday. And for all men, who will be tired the day you forget your wife's birthday. You know, in church we celebrate so many things. So how can the celebration of the nationhood of your own country not be a good cause for celebration, except we're saying we belong to another part of the world? I am proudly Nigerian, and I will celebrate Nigeria any day, any time, and I'll encourage every Nigerian to do so, because the green, white, green is the very essence of our being.
Yeah, Mr. Adoda, well, probably following up on that, what aspects of national life would you say we ought to be celebrating now?
I would say completely every aspect of our national life, because this is a very, very significant date for all of us. Yes, we might not be exactly where we would rather be as a nation after 58 years of independence, but the truth of the matter is that we are not where we used to be. Nigeria has come a long way. We've had our challenges. We've overcome most of these challenges. We're still going through some, and we're still battling with most. So I think as a nation, what makes us an entity is our ability to remain as one. And I think if we've been able to do it in 58 years, it is a cause for us to celebrate.
Right. There is a segment of the nation that we know does not have a sense of history, and that affects their level of patriotism. We're talking about the people we refer to as the youths, the young people, you know, who are still growing up. What do you think we can do as a government and as people, relatives, older relatives, to inculcate a spirit of patriotism in the young people?
I think it is in the spirit of that the government has gone out this year to have a full-blown celebration. You will agree with me that a child that was born between 2010 and now does not know what independence is. And coupled with the fact that at some point, even history was removed from our schools, and we're just working back to bring back Nigerian history into Nigerian schools. Some of us believe it was a very huge mistake, and we're happy that that has been recognized and is now being corrected. Now, for a child that was even born about 15 years ago, they would have not had the opportunity of seeing a full-blown celebration of the independence of Nigeria in its full glory, like we grew up seeing in the past.
And participating.
Absolutely. It used to be a day we looked forward to. We wore our best uniforms, our best shoes. It was a day for friends to meet. It was more like another Christmas for us as Nigerians. So we grew up seeing this elaborate celebration in appreciation of nationhood. And all of a sudden, due to some of the challenges we faced along the line, as a nation, that kind of came to a halt. And then we began to have low-key celebrations where people didn't even know it was 1st October, where our children were not even bothered because they were in schools. And then coupled with the fact that this was now taken off their curriculum, that became more like double tragedy, if you like. But we are saying no. The young ones need to have a sense of where we're coming from, for them to be able to appreciate where we are, and then for them to have a better understanding of where we're headed. And that is why we think that a celebration as elaborate as is being put together by government this year will actually begin to spark off those questions in our youth. Okay, where are we coming from? When did this happen? And then if you look at some of the materials, the promo materials we're sending out, deliberately we decided to make the exercise books for children to carry a little bit of Nigerian history at the back of it. So they can begin to ask questions such as who was Aguiyi Ironsi, who was Ahmadu Bello, who was Nahoro, who was Awolowo, and then things like that, so that they can begin to understand that the independence of Nigeria came at a cost. And we have heroes that actually worked for that and were able to deliver this to the Nigerian people. So to a large extent, we think that it is a very good place to start, and then we can begin to elaborate from there.
To add to that, like my chairman said, there's been a special attention given to the youths, because that was where your question came from, that most of our youths do not have the sense of understanding, the sense of history. But this year's celebration is actually top-heavy on the youths. In every aspect, this celebration started with an exhibition yesterday that was declared open by Mr. President. And we had 24 schools from within the FCT, not only participating in viewing the photos we had to exhibit, but we actually organized a mini photo competition for them, and winners were adjudged and prizes were given by Mr. Vice President yesterday. So altogether we had about 300 young boys and girls from different schools, and Mr. Vice President felt very happy being in the midst of the youths. Now, if you go through the gallery of the photographs we have exhibited, and the exhibition, by the way, continues up to Thursday, what we have done is to recreate Nigeria's history through photographs. You will see the pictures of all the colonial political leaders this country has had, from Lord Lugard down to James Robertson. You will see the pictures of all our independent political leaders, the Awolowos, the Zigs, the Nahoros, and so on and so forth. And then we graduated up to the military era, from Gowon up to the last military regime. Then we began the democratic era with Obasanjo down to Mr. President. So it takes you, around what has happened in the past 58 years. And everybody who has been there, some shed tears, some were like, oh, really, you mean this happened? Or I never knew. So in a way, the children and the youth have now been infused in what we're doing, for them to have a better understanding of their past, to help them recreate history, and also to assist them in appreciating that Nigeria really did not come, that cheap. Some people laid their lives for it, some people are still fighting for it, and it's worth fighting for, and it's worth defending, the honor of the country.
And worth celebrating, and I think I heard somebody say some time ago that low-key celebration amounts to no celebration, but it's a good thing. The spirits are being lifted, that we are celebrating this year for good reason, as we have been listing. I think it's a good thing for us, before we take our short break. Mr. Ojubana, as the chairman of the Programs and Publicity Committee, could you please let the public know what other activities we have lined up for the week, in addition to the exhibition that just started?
Yes. Beside the exhibition, on Friday, we're going to have a special national lecture at the mosque at 11 o'clock in the morning, and at 1 o'clock we'll have the Jumat, Independence Jumat prayer, and a number of guest lecturers and guest public speakers have been invited. And then later on Friday in the evening at the International Conference Center, we're going to have a night of Nigerian culture. It's going to be a mixed bag of comedy, musical performances, drama, cultural displays, and all. In fact, just call it Nigeria's Got Talent. The lead featuring artist will be Simi of the Jerome fame. We're going to also have Jennifer Eliogu. We're going to have a number of young and upcoming artists with so much talent that you would never believe they were Nigerians. But we're providing a platform to tell the world that Nigeria has come of age. We're going to have a fashion parade, a fashion runway, and children are also going to be part of it. You're going to see how, for instance, you can sing the national anthem without opening your lips. I wouldn't tell you why. It will be revealed on Friday. But that's the kind of buzz we want to create from now till Friday. And then on Saturday, the wife of Mr. President, Dr. Mrs. Aisha Buhari, is going to be organizing a picnic for children from various IDP camps within the Federal Capital Territory. And then later in the night, of course, it will be the day for the youth. They're going to have a youth carnival, and you know what comes with things like that. Then on Sunday, of course, at 3 p.m., we'll have the interdenominational service at the Ecumenical Center, and all the leaders of the Christian faith will all be there. And then on Monday, of course, we wake up with Mr. President's 7 a.m. broadcast, and that will be followed at 9 a.m. with the parade. Now, the parade, I want to say, this year is going to be different. You've never seen anything like that. Between the last 8 years and now, Nigeria has progressed, not only economically and socially, but also progressed militarily. So the military will be exhibiting their teeth. The military hardware, like you've never seen before, will be rolled out. The latest tanks, the armories, there'll be 21-gun salutes. The Air Force will have a complete complement of aerial displays, and paratroopers are going to drop from the skies.
Parade in the air.
Yes, green, white smokes are going to emit from the exhaust of the jets, low-flying jets. And it's going to be, there'll be sniffer dogs, and of course the parade of all the paramilitary and the military armed forces, the police, you know. It's going to be really, really something else. Then that will be wrapped up in the night with the presidential dinner at the banquet hall at the
Your committee is set to make us really proud Nigerians. We'll continue the chat in a moment. For now, we're going on the streets. This is Nigeria Today, and we're looking at preparations towards the 58th anniversary celebration of Nigeria's independence. On the street now, we go to get the views of Nigerians on this matter.
I won't say we are there yet, but we are hoping that with the help of our president, we will get there. He has been doing a lot of things on the issue of corruption, trying to actually see how we can get back all the money that some of the corrupt Nigerians looted in the parks. In that aspect, he's doing well. I will actually commend him on that aspect. But
in terms of development, I would say that in terms of education, yes, education has really grown in Nigeria. And when I say education, I'm not looking at the public institutions. In those days, we were not having a lot of private institutions, both the secondary and the tertiary. But with the advent, the approval by the federal government in 2005 that, you know, gave opportunities for private investors to come into the education sector, I see an education sector that is already booming in terms of quality turnout of graduates and all of that.
Assessment that we have progressed. At the same time, we need more to be done. We have more to be done on all this, and we appreciate within these 58 years of Nigeria, we have achieved a lot, and we still have more to achieve.
Primary health sectors, we need to improve, we can start many communities now. They don't have access to sector. Understand? We are like in urban area. You see many hospitals here. Go to the other state. We feel embarrassed. We need to improve on it. Thank you.
Welcome back, Mr. Aduda and Mr. Jubana from the 2018 Independence Day Celebration Organizing Committee and Programs and Publicity Subcommittee, respectively, are still right here. So we have some more minutes of discussion to go before the end of the half hour. But I don't know, was there anything there relevant to what we're talking about that you want to comment on?
Well, to a large extent, I think it only goes to buttress the point that we have made. We are not where we used to be. We have made progress, and we're looking forward to making more progress as we go along. And it is gratifying to see that Nigerians appreciate that, because all of them that spoke, either the one that referred to the education sector or the one that was talking about social amenities, of course they accepted that there is a level of it, but there is need for improvement. And we all agree that as long as there is life, there is hope for improvement, and that is what we're working on as a government.
Yeah, Mr. Jumana, keen into that, I'm aware that there are some Nigerians of some mind level who still think that government should provide all social amenities for citizens. Is it realistic to reason that way?
Not even in the most advanced countries have you had a government provide all the needs of its citizens. What, like my chairman said, does happen is that in everything you do in life, there will always be room for you to improve upon. So a young woman, you want to have the best wardrobe. When you have all those dresses, you still want some more. You have 50 shoes, you still see a new one, you still want some more. So that is what life is all about. Yes, but the good thing about it is that in a way, it pulls you to aspire to move from the level where you are to where you think you ought to go. And that for us is where we need to see it as a country. Now let me give you an example. On Monday, when you see what the military is going to roll out, you will now understand that from the point of defense as a country where we have actually arrived at. You compare it to what we had 10, 15 years ago. In terms of infrastructure, roads, bridges, look at where we were 20 years ago. See where we are now. We're not there, we agree. Even like the young man did admit, in the educational sector, 20 years ago, how many private universities did you have? If you didn't go to UNN or IFE or University of Ibadan, then you probably, or you probably didn't go to any university. But today, in Abuja alone, you cannot count the number of private universities and higher institutions. So that's the way it is. If you come to our exhibition, you will see that Nigerians used to drive Maurice Minor, Peugeot 404. What do we have on the streets today? People are owning private jets. That's some level of improvement, even economically. 20 years ago, we didn't have a Dangote who could employ tens of thousands of Nigerians. 20 years ago, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have the GSM. 10 years ago, we didn't have stable power as we do have today. So the point is that as a nation, you can never get to the point where you say, oh, you have finally arrived, everything is perfect. Because, like I said, even the most advanced countries have gone to the moon. They're not satisfied. They want to go to Mars. If they get it, they want to get to the sun. I hope they don't melt. But, I mean, that is...
that's all right. Let me find out from Mr. Aduda. Because we're in the election era now, you moving about and planning the anniversary, how would you say Nigerians are combining the season of election with the preparation for the celebration of the independence anniversary? Is there any synergy, or the two things are completely separated?
Well, to a large extent, we cannot refer to this as a clear case of apples and oranges, because we're dealing with one and the same team and one and the same set of people. But the beauty of it is that there has been an effective division of labor and assignments, such that those that should be focusing on politics are paying attention to politics, while also dispatching their responsibilities. As you know, the overall leader of this whole team is the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa himself. And all of us are just supporting to make this work. So yes, it is an electioneering period, and they're very much in the thick and thin of it. But that is why he has these hands that are really fully on ground to be able to drive the process. And then looking at the various components that are participating in the celebration, you'll see that we're dealing first with the military, the paramilitary, which to a large extent are actually quite cut out from the electioneering process. So I think it is a mixed bag, yes, but where responsibilities are clearly defined and each and every team is on top of its game, I think we're doing very well.
And that is all to say that professionals are running the show. The security aspect is run by the professionals, the media aspect by the professionals, the catering, the venues, all professionals. And don't forget this fact, October 1 is not an accident. It's a date that's already cast in stone as a nation. Yeah. So if there's any politicking happening around now, it's just a mere coincidence.
Right.
You might as well say, why don't you shift it?
There's an important question I want to ask. We'll probably have just 30 seconds each to answer that question, because time has actually run out on us. How can we leverage, on the things, the positive things we have as a people to achieve more unity, more progress, more peace in Nigeria? Mr. Jumana.
Thank you very much. It's the easiest way to do it is to remember your nationhood. I mean, I'll refer you to a sport we all love, football or soccer as it's called all over. And people do say that it's only when Nigerian team is playing that this country is united. It's when you see the young boys and young girls wearing the green, white, green, you feel like a true Nigerian. You forget where you come from. It's only when a Nigerian stands on the days on the Olympic Games and there's a medal hung on her neck and she's crying and the national anthem is going up that even you at home, you develop goose pimples. You know, so you can't, it's like motherhood. You can't forget your mother. It's not possible, no matter how old you are.
Mr. Chairman, sir.
Well, I will want to urge all Nigerians to take time and reflect on the theme of this celebration this year, harnessing our diversity for national development. The truth of the matter is that if we're able to put together our differences and bring them together, and in our various unique entities lies the seed for growth and development, because we bring together several things to the table that should be able to cook the Nigerian soup for all of us. Thank you.
I'm sure you make me feel big as a Nigerian, and I'm sure you have affected the viewers as well with the same feeling. Thank you so much for coming on the discussion. Gabriel Aduda, chairman of the Central Organizing Committee of the 2018 Independence Day celebration. And Mr. Charles Ojubana, Chairman, Programs and Publicity Subcommittee of the same committee. We are glad you made it. Thank you so much. And on behalf of the Nigeria Today crew, I thank you for watching. Remember, Nigeria Today is on weekdays, same time. So join us tomorrow for Thursday edition. You can also watch any edition online at www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. My name is Kande Daniel. Have a good evening.